Good morning. I'd like to call the January 18th, 2024 Urban Renewal Commission meeting to order. Director Johns, please call the roll call.
Thank you. Coles?
Here.
Leffel?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Fleshman?
Here.
Jeltness?
Here.
Crosby?
Here.
Clemenson? So it sounds like Commissioner Clemenson will either be late online or not able to make it.
And our council's online as well, right? Pete?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, let's, Councilor Bredeson,
I'm
are
here.
you? Okay.
Yep.
Just want to make sure that we're all compliant. We're not getting off the rails this morning. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag of the United States of America,
for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Remember that?
It's nice to see so many people out in the audience. We usually don't have anybody here this early. Welcome. Next up on the agenda is ceremonies, appointments, and announcements. Director John?
Commissioner, the Post Falls City Council has appointed Mr. Pat Leffel as a new member to the Post Falls Urban Renewal Commission. So welcome to Pat at this morning's meeting, his first regular monthly meeting. Additionally, Commissioners Eric Clemenson and Lynn Crosby have been reappointed to new terms. With regards to the election of officers for the calendar year 2024, Article 3, Section 2 of the agency bylaws states that officer terms shall be for 1 year, and elections will be held at the Post Falls Urban Renewal's January meeting, with appointments made at that meeting. Now I'd like to ask for a nomination of officers for the 2024 calendar year. We have any nominations for chairman?
I would move to nominate Jamie.
I second it.
I second the motion.
And by show,
Would you,
procedurally by show of hands?
do we do roll call?
Actually, we should do a roll call on that, Joe.
Should do roll call. Okay, thank
Big
you.
brother speaks.
All right.
Charlie.
So roll call. Leffel,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Jeltness.
Aye.
All right.
So next up is vice chair. Is that right?
Yes. So any nominations for vice chairman?
I nominate Christy Fleshman for vice chair.
I'll second that.
All right. So voice vote,
Roll call, yeah.
a roll call vote. Leffel,
Aye.
Jeltness,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Did I call Coles?
Aye.
Coles? Aye. Apologize, I'm out of order here.
That's all right.
All right. And lastly, the officer position of treasurer. Do we have any nominations for treasurer?
I nominate Len Crosby.
I second that.
All right, roll call vote. Jeltness,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles,
Aye.
Leffel,
Aye.
and Crosby.
Aye.
Okay. So our 2024 officers will be Chairman Jamie Davis, Vice Chairman Christy Fleshman, and Treasurer Leonard Crosby. Thank you, Chairman.
Great, thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is conflicts disclosure. Any of the commissioners have conflict disclosures? No. No? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item A in the consent calendar is the Commission Workshop Minutes of December 12th, 2023. Item B is the Commission Workshop Minutes of January 9th, 2024. Item C is the Finance and Policy Committee meeting minutes, January 9th, 2024. Item D is the payables for this month totaling $11,774.63. Item E is the bank activity report, which shows total funds in all accounts of $2,499,240.48 and accrued interest for the month of $5,970.87. Item F is the financial reports as of December 31st. Item G, for ratification purposes, is the record of the donation to the Post Falls Food Bank in recognition of the services of Jerry Baltzell as a member of this commission for 15 years, 10 of which were as chairman. Approval of the consent calendar will authorize a transfer of $11,774.63 to the First Interstate checking account for the monthly payables and $5,970.87 accrued interest to the general fund. Chairman Davis, I would answer any questions.
Do we have any questions on the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
A second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote.
All right. Jeltnes,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles,
Aye.
Leffel.
Aye.
Next up, we have committee updates, Finance and Policy. Treasurer Crosby.
Yes, the Finance and Policy Committee had a meeting on the 9th of January, at which time we reviewed the draft audit, and we also reviewed the financials, which you've just approved as part of the consent calendar, and had no issues or questions. And that's my report.
Great, thank you. District Review, Commissioner Coles.
Nothing new for district review.
All right, and Communications, Property, and Personnel, we have nothing to report. Next up on the agenda is item 6, which is citizen comments. This section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the commission regarding an agency-related issue. Comments related to future public hearings should be held for that public hearing. Persons wishing to speak will have 5 minutes. Do you have any citizens' comments? No? All right, doesn't look like it. Next up on the agenda is unfinished business.
So the first item is our fiscal year 2023 audit presentation. Tony Hackworth from Alpine Summit CPAs, formerly Anderson Brothers CPA, will present the fiscal year 2023 audit. Commissioner Crosby and Councilor Bredesen, would you like for the audit to be shown on your screens, or do you have a hard copy or a digital copy you can work through there locally?
I have a hard copy here.
So do I, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good morning. As Joe said, my name is Tony Hackworth. I'm with Alpine Summit CPAs. We changed our name January 1st of this year to Alpine Summit. We were Anderson Brothers. So same company, same management, ownership, just changed our name. I believe that you have a copy of the audited financial statements for September 30th, 2023. I will go over those briefly. If you have any questions, stop me and I'll try to answer those. If I can't, I'll get back to you. So first off is on page 1 through 3. We issued 2 separate reports as a result of our audit procedures. That report is our auditor's report over your financial statements as a whole. And we issued an unmodified opinion, which doesn't sound really good, but it actually is. That means we didn't have any significant findings or anything of that sort. So we also call it a clean opinion. So we were able to audit your financial information and issue our report saying that your financial statements are materially correct. The other report that we issue is on page, let's see, 34 and 35. Since you are a governmental entity, we're required to also perform audit procedures over your internal controls and compliance with laws and regulations. as they relate to financial reporting. And again, we did not have any findings in this area, so we've issued an unmodified or clean opinion over those items as well. Now we'll go to page 4 through 10 is called the Management Discussion and Analysis, and that is a narrative that Joe writes that is basically a narrative of your financial information for that fiscal year. We'll go to pages 11. Oops, I can get there. This is your statement of net position. Also, familiar term would be your balance sheet. Shows all of your assets, liabilities, and your resulting net position. Now, this page 11 and page 15, page 15 is called your balance sheet. So the difference between these two is what's called, the page 11 is on the full accrual basis, so shows capital assets that you have and any long-term liabilities that you have, whereas the other page is the balance sheet, and it's on what's called the modified accrual basis. So it doesn't show, and the big difference there is your pension liability related to PERSI and other elements of that. So your net position is $2,451,320 on page 11, and your fund balance is very similar, $2,480,287. So again, the big difference is your pension liability that's required to be accrued and reported now on page 11. Move to page 12. Page 12 is called your Statement of Activities. It's basically your income statement for the year, showing your revenues and expenses. Again, this statement is on what's called the full accrual basis. And then you've got your Statement of Revenues, Expenses, and Changes in Fund Balance on page 15. The difference in your change in net position or net income on the full accrual basis, page 12 is $280,000, so your revenues over expenses were $280,000. On page 15, the modified accrual, and again, the biggest item would be PERSI expense, not on page 15. So $448,815 was your net income, revenues over expenses on the modified accrual basis. And page 14 shows you a reconciliation between the modified accrual and the full accrual for your balance sheet and statement of net position. I'm not going to go over each element, but if you wanted to see what the major differences are and how much they are, you can look at that. And page 16 shows you the differences between your income statements on the full accrual basis. Again, I won't bore you and go through each of those items. So next in your financial statements are pages 17 through 30, and those are your footnotes to your financial statements. So those just describe what basis of accounting your financial statements are presented in, give you additional information on the PERSI liability and other elements in your financial statements. Page 31 is a schedule over your PERSI plan and liability that's required to be reported. And that will show you from 2015 to the current year the different elements, your pension liability, your contributions to that plan, and such. Those are also required to be reported by GASB, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. Page 32 is your budget to actual statement for the year. And you can see that for revenues, you had budgeted $5,529,957, and you actually brought in $5,628,342. So you actually had revenues over what you had anticipated. Your expenses were actually quite a bit less, and that's just a result of timing differences between your different projects and stuff. So your expenses were $3.3 million less than what you had budgeted for the year. And that is all that I have for my presentation. I'd be happy to answer some questions if you have any.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for Tony?
I don't.
No.
Treasurer
Yes,
Crosby?
Chairman, I do.
I figured.
Of course.
Good morning, Tony.
Morning.
On page 12, when you break down the fund balances, there's $1,127,000 as unassigned. Is that what we historically refer to as general fund balances, which is basically used to meet the obligations of operating the agency going forward since we don't receive any government or city assistance?
That is correct.
Thank you. That's my only question.
Okay.
That's great. Well, if there are no other comments or questions, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your hard work on that.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, so looks like we need an action item to approve the, all right, so we'd be looking for a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 audit presentation.
Move to approve the fiscal year 2023 audit presentation as presented.
I'll second.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote?
Thank you, Chairman. Jeltnes,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Coles,
Aye.
Leffel,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye. Okay, excellent. All right, next on the agenda is new business.
Chairman, as in the past, we will need a motion to authorize the 2024 elected officers as authorized signers for all financial transactions, including checking and savings accounts, bank certificates of deposit, and real property transactions, and authorize Executive Director Joseph Johns to have access to all account balance and month-end statements information for internal funds management purposes.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote?
Coles,
Aye.
Leffel,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Jeltnes,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Thank you. I will contact the banks and make sure all the necessary paperwork is in order. If there's anything needed, I will do my best to have that assimilated and prepared for you so that you can easily take care of any responsibility as far as getting into the the bank and signing, providing signature, et cetera. But I think for Commissioner Davis and Crosby, everything will stay in order.
Okay.
It'll just be you, Commissioner Fleshman, that will have to add. Thank you. So our next new business item is a project update on the Millworx and North Mill 1 project. I expect, is it Brad that you're going to? Okay, Brad Marshall with JUB Engineers, and then also, well, Brad, I'll let you make the introductions if you want to.
Sure, if I can get this thing open here. There we go.
So if you scroll down to the bottom, it should already be open. There you go.
There we go. Maybe I'll just do it this way. Perfect. Where's that? Again, good morning. I'm Brad Marshall with JEB Engineers. For the record, 7825 Metal Arc Way in Coeur d'Alene. Also with me in the audience is Bill Lawson, Ryan Ruffcorn, and Alan Housen of A&A Construction. They're the owners. They're right here locally in the region. Also with me, that young man there in the JB shirt is Cole Henderson. Cole did a lot of the engineering throughout the project as well. Just in case a question pops up on this or that, we thought it'd be wise to have him here. And again, they're obviously invested in your community, invested in the project. I've got a short presentation, maybe 5 minutes, kind of run through the project, kind of give you an overview of where we've been, kind of where we're going in the process. You know, we also wanted to take a second and thank the commission for your partnership on the project. The reality is, without the commission, the agency, this project would probably not be happening. I mean, I think this property was on the market for 10, maybe 15 years, remained an ugly eyesore in the middle of the city, and today it's being redeveloped. And at the end of the day, it'll be redeveloped. It'll create a tax base, both property tax and sales tax revenue for the city, but also provide service and industry and business for the citizens, entertainment, restaurants, and so forth. So it'll be pretty exciting. We'll kind of pull up the site plan. Yeah, as you're aware, we're still a relatively small town. There's been a lot of, quite frankly, demolition down there. It used to be covered with old buildings and old mill equipment. That has all been removed. We took an extensive amount of fill material off-site. That fill material is like, chips and wood debris that is very common on old mills along the river, but also as asphalt and concrete and steel structures. There was two major what are called borrow pits on the property. One's kind of a neat one. Well, I wouldn't say neat. One was on the north side of Idaho Street, kind of closer to Celtice Way. This is an old borrow pit where they used to take material out and build the interchanges. And then over time, those pits were filled with concrete and asphalt. And some would say we dug to China to get that material out. And then across the bulk of the mill, there was just a lot of debris that was removed. And this is, well, it was a lot, not entirely uncommon. Riverstone had the same aspects as well as the Atlas Mill site. It was common in those turn of the centuries to just retain, and that's kind of what they did. At the end of the day, it's all cleaned up, and you may have seen some of those piles down there over the last year, and a few trucks moving in and out. As you're aware, A&A has designed and reconstructed 4th Street from Idaho Street over to Celtice. If you recall, that was just a 2-lane section of road, no curb gutter, sidewalk, nothing. Today, it's a modern 3-lane collector with bikeways on the side, sidewalks, storm drainage, both street lighting, what's called Cobra heads, and decorative lighting as well. So it's a pretty attractive street section. Kind of looks very similar to your Spokane Street. And our plan is to develop Idaho Street to the south. It would look very, very similar to the same. So 4th Street's all reconstructed. Within 4th is sewer and water as well. Again, public infrastructure. And we also have extended sewer and water north of 4th, between 4th and Celtice. There. Look at my notes here. The area between 4th and Celtice was subdivided. Colin's familiar with the process. It was subdivided called North Mill 1 subdivision into a half dozen lots. Today on the north side, the Kindred and Company Bookstore and Bistro is just starting to open up. A beautiful building, very well done building, very attractive. I would like to say a landmark for Post Falls and a real asset over time. There's also additional mixed-use building that's under construction now on the north side. First floor, commercial. There's a mix of tenant spaces on the first floor that can be used for retail, office, kind of so forth, and then residential above. And again, that's becoming somewhat of a common concept. Riverstone has the same thing. Kendall Yards has the same thing. You create that first floor retail and residential above. There's a hotel on the horizon, the Hyatt Hotel, which is again where 4th Street meets Celtice Way, and it's taken a long time to get through the design stage, the permitting stage, to kind of right-size that structure, that hotel to our community. But we're there. It's I believe a 151 unit hotel, 4-story, underground parking. And I may be wrong, but I want to say this is the first structure in Post Falls that may have underground parking. And I think there's more to come as in the downtown areas due to the urban nature and the better utilization of the property and the values. Oh, just kind of Again, this is just some visuals of the mixed-use buildings that are along 4th Street, and what you'll see through Idaho Street. We've heard this before, but we've retained one of the iconic structures on the property. This is the hog tower. They put wood debris in there, and they utilized that to create energy and steam throughout the mill, and we've retained that as a structure. In the new plan, actually, you'll find it kind of interesting. We developed a food court that you can actually bring in food trucks around that area, and a small concert venue, and ideally a brewery in that area too, and that's on the horizon. This is kind of a visualization of, again, the mixed-use buildings, first floor commercial, again, residential on the top, as well as the townhomes are developed. There's 61 townhomes that have been developed within the project. Some have detached ADUs, accessory dwelling units, so above the garage units, and very attractive units. So we're excited to bring those to market, and that's going well. Again, these are kind of matching buildings, one on the south side, one on the north side that's under construction. Again, have a lot of interest in the retail and a lot of interest in the residential above. These are schematics of the Hyatt Hotel that will break ground in the spring. Again, right size to the community, have small conference areas, very small restaurant area, and 151 hotel units for our use and those opportunities right down the street from us. And this is an exciting new building that's under design right now. We hope to be under the permitting stage in the near future. This would be at the the southeast corner of 4th and Idaho Street, and I believe we're 90% design. Yeah, at about that point, close to submittal. Again, first floor retail, big tenant spaces, big suites in there. Again, big enough to accommodate a brewer, baker, an assortment of uses. So that'll be a very attractive building. On the horizon is, again, the roundabout at 4th and Idaho Street, and the extension of Idaho Street down south toward the rail line. We've been under design for a long time. We had to acquire some right-of-way, some easements from the adjoining church that's on the northwest corner. We spent a fair amount of time and effort in working with the church, and ultimately, with the city's help, specifically Bob Seal, Bill Melvin, Rob Paulus, we were able to design around the church. So we're kind of tuning up that design. We hope to have our permits for that here shortly, and breaking ground on the roundabout this spring, ideally in March, and build that through the March and summer. We were trying to time it right. Our ultimate goal was actually to build that roundabout before the Kindred and Company opened up, but then we ran into some challenges on that. So now we're going to get the Kindred and Company open and running, and then build the roundabout. And we're set up to get through that process. Where we could use the agency's help and the city's help over time is the extension of Idaho Street all the way to 3rd. That extension is in the city's master planning documents, comprehensive plans, and long transportation plans. And ultimately, it'll serve the community in many ways, that extension. It requires a crossing of the rail line, which is, as Colin knows, it's a big deal to get the permits to cross a rail line. But it'll alleviate traffic at Spokane Street. It'll allow somebody who's south of 3rd Street to shoot straight up to Super One, to the medical community, to the high school, and kind of distribute traffic. And to be frank, it'll bring trips and interest into the project. So we're working with the city to acquire that crossing, which will take some time and some effort.
Had any feedback from the railroad on that?
Yeah, we've had preliminary meetings and applications, they always want to, their positions, they always want to see two closed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, two crossings closed in exchange for a new one. And that is a challenging process. So obviously it's beneficial to the city to get that crossing, make that extension. The railroad's always a little guarded, but
There aren't many users left on it, is
I
there?
believe there's only one. Yeah.
And that's really to the west of the project, I think, or is there another user
Yeah,
down?
there's one to the east. It's the PVC pipe.
Oh,
pipe company
Interstate
that-
Plastics, yeah.
Yeah.
But their location for using the line is, I think, right by Henry.
Right. And it's pretty limited, and that could be semied out, trucked out. And, we've got the mill to the east as well. But to my understanding, that mill is shrinking.
Right.
And eventually will, may go through the same process. So hopefully it's just a matter of time. Yeah. Kind of through. Kind of give you an update. Just kind of go back. Kind of where we're at in the process. A&A has made a massive investment into the city, both in land, then infrastructure, then structures. Subsequently, we have a reimbursement request into the city under the approved OPA. And we've got a lot of invoices and receipts and so forth. I'd like to think, an excellent job of making that submittal. It's been under review by your consulting engineer, Welch Comer. We had a meeting earlier this week. They did a great job on their review. We're at about 95, 97% on that. They had a couple questions on a couple invoices. We're kind of digging into those with our infrastructure contractor, particularly sewer. They wanted a little clarification of this or that. So we're digging into that. And also working with the city on kind of finalizing some record drawings. Because again, you can't reimburse until ultimately those improvements are accepted
Right.
by the city. And we're close on that as well. So we hope to have ideally an order of decision back in front of you with a recommendation from your consulting engineer and those record drawings, ideally in the February meetings. But we want to give you an update, kind of where they're at. And it's a reminder that without the commission, this project probably wouldn't be happening. It's pretty exciting and ultimately be a value and a benefit to the city. With that, I'm going to turn to my partner here, Ryan. Anything to add that I missed? Any questions the commission may have?
Len, do you have any questions?
I'd just like to commend the developers and JUB. They've been very cooperative. They've been very transparent in what they're doing and how they're doing it. This development is a true addition to the city, which will stimulate additional retail and commercial development, and it'll also expand the consumer base for existing businesses to the west on Celtice. So this is a win-win for everyone, and we appreciate their cooperation and everything they're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner Crosby.
And I concur with that comment. This is great. Really
Thank you.
exciting
Thank
to
you.
see this happening in Post Falls. Long overdue.
Good deal. And final side personal note, I was very pleased to see the recognition of Jerry. His 15 years on the commission, 10 years as chairman. I think the city is a much better place because of Jerry and the agency. Had the opportunity to work with Jerry for a long time, and there's nobody better. Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
Next.
Thank you, Bren.
All right. Next item is staff report and updates.
Thank you, Chairman Davis. Conflict disclosure letters were provided to each member of the commission at the conclusion of the January 9th workshop. All but one of the letters have been completed and returned. Once I have them all, they will be delivered to Mayor Jacobson. So I hope this next week. And a joint workshop with the City Council is going to be tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, March 5th at 4:30 p.m. The workshop will not include any action items, but will be for discussion purposes only. We are aiming to have a draft of the workshop agenda by February 12th for review and discussion. please let me know if you have any specific topic that you'd like to have included on the agenda or in those discussions. That concludes my staff report.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments? All right, chairman comments. Just like to say congratulations to everyone with the election, and also welcome to the commission, Pat. Happy to
Thank
have
you.
you on board.
Glad to be here.
We'll be leaning on your expertise and wisdom, so it's nice to have you up here with us. Are you making fun of the word
No,
wisdom?
I'm not.
All right. With no other comments, I guess I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make
Oh.
a motion to adjourn.
Perfect.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, meeting adjourned.